All right, next up, we go from words to music. And our next speaker, I'm just going to help pull things together for his presentation here. Our next speaker is Peter Westergaard, who has recently premiered a wonderful opera all about Alice in Wonderland. And he's going to share both ideas and stories about its creation and little snippets of it. So pardon us while we change some technological things. We're going to do the thing where maybe we put the microphones very close to my little speakers again. So Peter's going to project over while we do this.
I'll start talking while he does that. Because I'm not very good at technology, I do it the old-fashioned way and I give you lots of handouts. The critical one for the talk is the stapled one, corner stapled one, but you also have programs from this first production of the opera, and you also have, a libretto. And you don't need to look at either of those while I talk. You will need to look at the handout proper later when I talk. But first, let me Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Now, as you'll see from the handout, I'm an old hand at what I call plundering the classics. 5 of the 7 operas that I've written have done just that. I make my own librettos. I do that not because I don't like to collaborate, but because I want to use the words of the author of the work. I do not want some poet, however talented, to rephrase Shakespeare's Tempest for me, and I wouldn't dream, for the same reason, of having a librettist reshape the words of Lewis Carroll. Largely this involves some very important choices. Which events, if I find the language striking, how much of that language? Part of the problem is very much a question of how long the thing ought to be. And how long an opera is versus how long a book is are two very, very different things. You can read a book in an afternoon if you have a long one, or you can read it in chapters, or you can have it read to you, if you're a little bit younger, in chapters, in 12 chapters. How does that work out into making things into an opera? Now, if you look down at the little chart there, you'll see a chart that converts the chapters of Carroll's book to the scenes in my opera. And by and large, the boundaries are very much the same. The chapters do correspond to what you might characterize as scenes. Sometimes the scene is too long and gets split into 2 chapters, in case that's too long to read a child, perhaps. Right. But I found that I couldn't do that if I wanted to include all the things I wanted to include, and I couldn't bear to leave out things. So the only things that get left out are minor items. There is no encounter with the puppy. I don't know whether you all remember the encounter with the puppy. It is not absolutely critical to the story, but I did feel I could leave that one out. I left out "'Tis the Voice of the Lobster," although the scene with the lobster and Griffith is certainly there, and the lobster Cordill is there, and you'll even hear a bit of turtle soup. I left out, and I'm not sure whether this was a wise decision, I left out the long fall down the rabbit hole. That was partly because of timing. I was worried that if I took that long at that beginning and had someone just singing and you couldn't see anything, that might be too long. And it seemed a little risky, so I decided not to do it. Now, who knows? I may change that for some later version. But in any case, I came up with an opera that lasted an hour and a half. The White Rabbit is a character who goes throughout many adventures. The Caterpillar, the one invertebrate who gets a chance in this opera. I decided here to do something a little unusual. I cast the Caterpillar as 2 people and have them sing simultaneously. So we have the soprano singing the soprano sings the downstage side of the caterpillar's head, and the tenor sings the upstage side. And actually other characters are also involved, and you could have them all, if they had time to learn the music by heart, they could also, 6 singers could provide a character who could move across the stage, and not just smoke a hookah. Well, all told, there are 40 characters. Now, I'm not going to have a cast of 40 people. That's out of the question. One would want a certain amount of doubling. What kind of characters can be doubled? Well, the more I thought about this, and the more I thought about the economics of opera production, I've been on all sides of the opera fence, not just as a composer, but as a director and producer and all the rest. I wanted to get this number down a bit. And I began to think, well, so forth and so on. And it has wonderful colors to orchestra. I really did not want to get into competition with that. So I began thinking, of course, of smaller groups. Again, money. It costs much less to have, let's say, 6 instrumentalists. And that was one of my early ideas, 6 instrumentalists with my 6 ensemble singers singing all those roles. But as I began to think about it more and more, I thought, what about not having an orchestra at all? What about doing everything just with the human voice? Well, there's one little problem there. Couldn't help it that singers get their pitches. The singers are used to depending on the orchestra. Even the very best musicians, and we certainly have them for our first performance, do need some reference pitches. So they have 12 handbells, which they play. Usually off stage. Occasionally, I work out a way for a handbell to be worked into the action. There's a handbell for the Mad Tea Party that you'll hear. It's the dinner bell, and it's an F sharp bell. F sharp is 6 o'clock on the clock that we musicians think of as an image for the way we handle pitch classes or types of pitches. And 6 is normally thought of as F sharp. So that's being run constantly. Or the king in the trial has a bell, which he brings instead of a gavel in front of the crowd. And they're fortunate that they're off stage because they can be on book when they're off stage. Now, one of the little problems here is that we have 7 singers who are singing for an hour and a half. There are very few roles, great classical roles in opera that are an hour and a half long. The singers are usually off at some point or other. They are not singing constantly. Even Susanna in American Figaro, who's on half the time and sings in half the numbers and has one of the longest roles, the longest role. That's still just short of an hour and a half square. So this was a real problem. Much better, we're off stage, they can be on book, they don't have to memorize things. Now, that gets us to the kind of music that I'm going to write. And here's the hard part of my talk. Here you're going to have to listen to me talk about notes and how they're put together, and that is right at the core of what this opera has to do with Lewis Carroll. One thought that you might have in writing opera would be to use English salon music of 1860s vintage, because so much in the poetry is linked to that music that there would be a real connection. And let's say, were I a composer 100 years ago, I might well have taken.
Are we hearing?
This may or may not work.
You think it's coming from here? From? I'm not a camera tenor, so I didn't see it. But in any case, a herald trumpet can't play, a real herald trumpet can't play those notes. A herald trumpet is a trumpet without valves. It doesn't have those notes. The first notes, the chromatria, yeah, sure, but the last note in that trumpet call isn't part. But a herald trumpet works on the internal logic of the overtones, of the partials, of any pitch. These are simply the tube of the trumpet is vibrating either its full length, in halves, in thirds, in quarters, in fifths, and so forth, and those will give the different pitches you can play in the herald trumpet.
In the opera, won't be surprised at all, because this particular hexachord collection of 6 pitch classes has been a going force in the opera all along, so it's perfectly natural. But I show you that here because it's a relatively simple and easy to grasp case of what I'm talking about. Now, the same kind of thing will be used for music throughout. Let me talk about the second verse, and we'll hope that it works. Okay, here we are in the bit with the mock turtle and the griffin. And here, although in Carroll, only the mock turtle sings turtle soup. The griffin, in my opera, the griffin canvas is singing too. And basically that's because I wanted to have tenor singing at the high end of his range, together with countertenor, and singing in major thirds and minor sixths, in the particular kind of formulas that involve the interchange of those intervals, and everything between these two guys will always be one of those intervals, either a major third or a minor sixth. And they move only by semitone or by minor third. Extremely constrained set of rules about how they move. I'm sorry the sound is so very silent. Can you hear in the back?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Now, obviously, that kind of fun and games with intervals, that's amusing to the composer, you may say, but is it really funny to the audience? I hope so, but only probably if you don't know all this stuff, in a way it's everywhere, you can't escape it. It's the way the world works in this piece. That's what I'm looking for. And then 13, and then you go up to C sharp, which is 13 semitones possible. And so, but then she gets very unhappy. She'll never get to 20 that. Well, why is this? Well, of course, what she's doing is doing a reasonable pattern, and it resembles the pattern in a multiplication table. It's just at the wrong place in that pattern.
Let me see. 4 times 5 is 11. 4 times 6 is 13. 4 times 7 is 13. I shall never get to 20 that way.
Well, now, I said that I didn't follow Carroll's numbers. Why not? Well, I tried Carroll's numbers first, of course, but they didn't sound as obvious as my numbers. It's the same trick, but it worked better to have a rising as the number 5, 6, 7, as that goes up by semitone. Worked better not to have the top number go up by semitones, but to have it go up by whole tones. Sounded a little crazy. I think was true to Carroll's notion of the way the world works. One change of the background, one change of the harmony, everybody. So.
Perhaps not, but I know I have to beat time when I learn music.
And what counts for it? He won't stand beating. Now if you only get a good turn within, it will almost anything right without luck. For instance, suppose it were 9 o'clock in the morning, just time to begin lesson.
manipulate time? Well, of course, music manipulates time all the time. Our experience of time is constantly manipulated by the composer. That's what composers do. They control your time sense in a most insidious way. But here we have the Hatter talking about it perfectly straightforward. Now, the same thing about time, I should say, just as we can control time, in this opera, or in this story, space is controlled, or is rather out of control, as Alice drinks and eats things she perhaps ought not to. And that, too, will be done with a perfectly obvious way by the pitches. Now, this idea of representing space with pitch is so standard that, in a way, I shouldn't have to explain it, but I do know that, for example, cultures that are not part of the Greco-Roman tradition don't necessarily have this tradition. We measure pitch as though it was space. We think of pitch, we say high and low. We compare exactly how much higher, how much lower the pitches are. We constantly talk that way. Now, it's not necessarily very good for talking about 2 miles. It's much better for up and down. But in any case, when Alice grows, you will hear her grow, and the pitches in the accompaniment, and indeed even in her vocal line, will grow. We'll have first the example of her shrinking, and then we'll go right to the example of her, so just leave it on for the next week. Here she shrinks, and then she will get. Now she's going to try to get large again so she can get the key. Happening all the time. And I should explain here that the way we did this was, you heard how I did it musically. How do you do it visually? Well, what we have is, well, we couldn't get an analysis of grow or shrink again. So the next best thing would be to have the scenery shrink when she grows and grow when she shrinks. Now, to do that in 3 dimensions is out of the question. To do that in 2 dimensions with actual physical stuff doesn't work. But projected images, so that's what we did. We have projected images that change size. And I'm sorry that I can't control the video well enough to show you how that works. But as she grows, the hall in which it closes in on her becomes very small, and as she shrinks, it becomes quite huge. And so then the curls of their wigs get all down. Now, canons, of course, of the ordinary kind also exist in this piece. Here's what happens to Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Now, watch out. This is the one case, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star is the one case of a song in this book that everybody knows. I couldn't here make up something. No, it has to be the real thing. But how do I make it sound odd? Well, the Dormouse repeats everything that other people say, so I just have the Dormouse sing the same thing at the canon.